a lot. There's a lot today. So I thought I'd come live early, like 8 minutes early. I don't know. I look like a slub. I look like a schlub today. Good morning. Welcome to Wake and Bake with Lolo. I'm Lolo. It's true. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. I came live early. That's so dumb. I shouldn't have done that. That was really dumb. Maybe I should go back. Maybe I should go back to sleep. No, I'll probably stay. But we have stuff. There's like stuff happening. There's a lot of NATO stuff. A lot of stuff. I got NATO. It's multiplying. And then I got this other thing. This thing. I'm in first. Val is first. I'm early. I know. I'm early. I know. I wanted to go early because we have a few things that I've already seen like starting, and then Dumpy McDumperson, Dumpy McShitz's pants is going to. Hi Annette, how are you? Hi Karen. Oh yeah, girl. Well, Karen, I got you. babe. So I have this thing. What is this thing? Health Subcommittee, hearing the power of digital health. Not really interested in that, but I've got some other things. So now that I say that, I'm really, oh no, I don't want to do that. Well, first, I just want to go with this 5 minutes of Zoran Mamdani's win last night. Congratulations. But we're listening for Dump to start because Dump is going to speak at the NATO summit. That's right. You guys tied. It was a beautiful tie. So here we go. I know. I'm still asleep, though. I'm still very tired. No problem. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to check in with what was happening in New York City.
From Zoran Mamdani is a guy who has really sort of committed himself to progressive issues, right? He says he's going to take buses and make them free. He says he's going to do city-funded grocery stores. These are all big left proposals, right? Very, very big liberal proposals that will have to be moderated at a certain point.
What about a human thing?
And so that is what they're getting with him. They're getting a person who says that he's going to do these progressive policies.
I do, but I do only anyway.
Really know is
Grace
that
Lisa.
with anybody who runs for mayor, they're going to have to move to the middle, and he's going to have to figure out a way to govern.
Is he going to have to move to the middle?
A way to govern with really smart people in government because he doesn't have government experience, really.
So Mamdani wins, but he doesn't win because it's ranked choice, plus there's an election in November. Are we still in play here with ranked choice? Does Governor Cuomo still have a chance in this election?
Governor Cuomo
it's highly
is
unlikely
a rapist
that Andrew Cuomo
and a sexual abuser.
To pass on the second round Mamdani because of the sheer amount of votes for him in the first round. We're talking about 43% of the vote with Andrew Cuomo at 35. In the next round, it's almost certain that Mamdani is going to pull this off. Now, we know that Cuomo conceded last night, and what that feels like is that Cuomo is not going to run on that independent line that he had set up. And I talked about this with Laura Namias, who covers New York for a while. It is the stinging blow of losing the Democratic primary that'll prevent Cuomo from staying in the race. This is a longtime Democratic leader, and to not get the Democratic nomination, I think, is just a blow to his ego. So to run as an independent is really still unlikely.
Dude,
he told the Times, he hasn't made a decision.
You are a loser.
But I think
you are a
we
sexual
heard in that
abuser.
speech last night,
Get the
that
fuck
was
out.
his decision.
Nobody wants
Miles,
you.
the New York Post says Mr. Mamdani's victory over Andrew Cuomo is, quote, a political earthquake.
Yes.
For the Democratic Party. What does it mean for
the
Democratic Party?
It means that
here
there are many
New York City?
parts
Can it
of the Democratic
Party.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what actually could happen here. We have.
Okay. I get it. Okay. I get it. First of all, this is Bloomberg. So, king of the capitalists, right? Bow ties trigger me. Me too, Grace Lisa. Me too. But, I think this is what, if the kids are mad, this is what I think they're mad about. The fact that pundits or whoever's speaking about this, whoever's speaking about politics these days has to somehow say that if you are going to be progressive, then somehow you're in conflict with the Democratic Party. Now, I think what is in conflict is that there are people who will try to stop candidates like Mamdani. Am I pronouncing his name wrong, Val? Because I want to make sure I'm getting it right. Zoran Mamdani. So if people like Zoran Mamdani come along and they're painted as, far left, first of all, I guess he's running as a Democrat, so he considers himself a Democrat. I agree with probably most everything he says. I don't know all his positions, but I imagine I probably agree with them. I consider myself at the moment whatever is called a Democrat. And so this whole are we going to pull him to the left? Well, I think that what we've learned is that those types of bold positions that put people first are popular. And so I don't know who these milquetoast Democrats might be somewhere in the Midwest or wherever. I don't even know where they are. And because I bet you there's a bunch of, right-wing Democrats here in California. I'm sure there are, but they're not Democrats. They're right-wingers, Yeah, so I don't think that, first of all, I hate groups. I hate grouping people. I think that the Democrat Party, maybe like the Republican Party once was, is a spectrum of people who have different beliefs. I may not agree with everything someone says, right? But that doesn't mean I dismiss all of their passion or views or whatever, right? If I share most of the same worldview, mission, goals, then that's the candidate I'm probably going to choose. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what they're called. So first of all, I just think the Dem Party is the Dem Party. I almost think that we as Democrats need to stop. Stop. What we need to do is accept the fact that within the Democratic Party, there are a range of views, and that what the polling, if you want to care about polling or anything, is that what are considered more progressive views are actually quite wanted by the majority, if not all, of people who vote Democrat. Certain issues are deal breakers, but I haven't seen what those are because the deal breaker didn't get us anywhere. So I don't know what that is. I think that is a kayfabe. I think that the media helps whip up the defund the police bullshit when in fact people, if you talk to them on the street, are just like, I don't know. No, that may what I want is not to defund it. What I want is funding to go to the positions like social workers and trauma and intervention versus a policing state. I want us to go towards a caretaking state. When people are in crisis, we help them. So anyway, I think there's a lot of it, and I think most of it. I just don't even know about centrists. I don't know what centrist means anymore. I don't know I think we need to really look at ourselves and say, are we doing this? Are we creating some kind of weird manufactured box that we have to fit in? Right? Because there's not enough MAGAs to outvote us usually. So I'm gonna say to whoever calls themselves a Democrat, it's time to get the fuck over ourselves. Stop fighting with everybody. Stop administering purity tests, whether or not you're a pure enough Democrat. Yeah, I just don't think, I think they've painted those ideas as radical and people have accepted that when in fact they're not radical. And so I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I feel like this is a self-inflicted wound that Democrats do to themselves. Like, stop it. Stop fighting. Who cares? Who cares? We need people in our political positions. Not they, and now let's be careful, peace love, because the word they really frightens me. People use they a lot to describe some amorphous group over there that's doing something. We do it to ourselves. The government is not against us. The government is just the government, and it's made up of people. And they fall into a routine of doing things the way they want to do. You know, like, I don't know. I feel like this is so fucking stupid. And yet here we go again. And I can guarantee you things aren't going to change if we don't get our heads out of our asses. Fuck politics. Don't worry about that. Worry about the people like Mamdani who are doing the right thing. And if you're upset with, you know, his co-op grocery stores, well then, if you live in New York, fight him in the city council. That's the way we do things. Or run for city council yourself. I just think we need to stop and allowing even the media to paint, you know, oh, this group of Democrats hates that group of Democrats. Bullshit. No, they don't. There's no centrist Democrats anymore. You might consider yourself centrist, but I don't know what that means. How are you so different from what Mamdani wants? How are you so different? I don't think any of us are that different. What is it? What's the policy that's going to push you back towards the center? I don't know. I know I'm oversimplifying this, but I'm really trying to push us. There is no they. There is no they, peace, love. There is no they. Stop. Because what that does is give the blame and the responsibility to some amorphous group that doesn't exist. The country is we. We are the country. That includes maggots, everything. We. It's just we. And we can overcome this and vote like the people of New York have voted. I mean, listen to this guy. This fucking Bloomberg guy is like, oh, do you think that Cuomo has another chance? No, dude, give it up. Guess what? The voters of New York have decided. The voters of New York have decided. They want this guy. They don't want Cuomo. Cuomo fucked up. He's been an asshole. And guess what? New York politics, I know New York politics a little bit. It's dirty as fuck. It's really hard to navigate. Doesn't matter who you are. So yeah, I mean, this is my thing. Is like, let's stop. Stop. Democrats aren't this enough. Democrats aren't that enough. What we need, I think, is to decide what are the policies that make the most important, make the most sense. You know, what do we believe in? What do we believe in? It doesn't matter what it is, like what label it gets. What do we believe in? You know, like there's no more third rail issues. Like I think we deny that. I think we say no, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Yeah, we're exactly, Grace Lisa. Oh my God, we are living on a rock floating through space, and you get one trip around this marble, and then you better have done something right with it. And I think it's just like putting people first. I don't know. Politics to me died on November 5th of last year. I don't think politics matters. I think we pick the people who have the most, the ideas that resonate the most with what we as voters believe. Yeah. So anyway, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little like this morning. Anyway, the reason I came on early is because we got all this NATO shit. Anyway, I wanted to talk. I wanted to play this one piece about Mamdani, and then I totally interrupted it. But here we go.
Never. I mean, you've seen the pendulum swing to a person I worked for, Bill De Blasio, right?
Oh, he's a De Blasio guy.
And
okay,
he,
I get it.
Did a lot with the Fair Fares project, a lot of things that really got to the heart of the affordability issue. But as it relates to Mamdani, he is going to be
Bill
made
De Blasio
in
was
the
a
mold
shitty mayor.
of Chicago's
Sorry.
mayor,
Not sorry.
and of course Boston's mayor. Now those are polar opposites, right? Chicago's mayor, very unpopular, very progressive, has not been able to get much done. Boston's mayor, very progressive. People.
Fuck this guy. Fuck Bill de Blasio. Look, where do you live now? What are you living in? Are you on vacation, sir? Get the fuck out of here. There's this one, but then that isn't actually that exciting. Here's what I really wanted. See, I've got a bunch of things open, so I need to make sure. Not gonna. Okay, so that's not playing. That's not yet. Oh God, we've got. Oh wait, I've got to show you this one now. Sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. 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 I couldn't afford to live there. I had to leave. Yeah, Cuomo conceded. Then they were talking about, oh, does he have another chance as an independent? Like, fuck you. Come on, get out of here. New Yorkers aren't that dumb. Come on now. I lived in New York. They're not dumb. I think this is not what I want. Is that what I want? No. Not that. Okay, so this is probably what I want. Great. Dumpy McDumperson is going to speak at NATO. Do you guys still hear any kind of buzzing or anything behind my microphone? I had some computer issues. I know. I'm so sorry, Lee. I went early because we got a lot of stuff happening with NATO. And I really wanted to, do that. Yeah, rank choice seems to work pretty well. I don't know. I think we're in the midst of a real sea change when it comes to how you don't hear anything extra. Oh, okay. It's pretty low. Hold on. We'll get the crowd noise. It'll be very exciting. Oh my God, my nose. My nose is all stuffy. Hold on. Deze moet naar achter. Kunnen we deze naar achter duwen? Ja. Dan komt deze van het Witte Huis hier te staan. What was speaking German? What? Was? You don't hear any buzzing? Okay, good. Because I think I've had a problem with the fan in my No, you're not late, Jane. You're not late. I was early. It was a whole thing. You're fine. I love you. Good morning, everyone. I love you so much, and I'm so sorry that I woke up and I was like all boop, 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 boop. Yeah, I only hear the buzzing in my head. Yeah. Great. Okay, perfect. Because I think I fixed it, but I'm not sure. Because I can't, it doesn't play through my monitor. No vibration noises. Okay, good. I can't, I just don't, I think it doesn't play through my monitor, so, but you guys hear it, and it's so fucking frustrating. God, that would just, I'd be like, turn her down. Turn her down. Anyway, here we are at NATO. We're at The Hague. We're at The Hague having fun. We're just being girlies at The Hague. That's right. President Dumpy McDumperson's about to speak. Hopefully with the very, very sexy Rutte. I had to turn off like the sexy music voice thing because it kept interrupting the voice, like my microphone type thing. But I got to get back to that, Jane, because I love our sexy Rutte music. Like, what about our Rutte? What about our sexy guy? What about our sexy time? I only hear the buzzing in my head. I only hear the buzzing in my head. Oh, I will say this while we're waiting. Last night on Discord, we watched the Surviving OSU documentary. It's on HBO Max. I will show it again if people missed it and really want to see it. because it's an extraordinarily good documentary about the wrestling program, or the university doctor who molested and raped thousands of students, it seems, throughout OSU programs, Ohio State University, including during the tenure of Jim Jordan as assistant coach, who apparently, and it was well documented in this documentary, Jim Jordan was very knowledgeable about what the doctor was doing to the students under his watch. Let me say that again. Jim Jordan knew that the students under his watch were being molested and raped by the team doctor. So I just want to say that we must show that documentary as far and wide as we can. Oomph had a great idea trying to get people in and trying to get screenings done in Jim Jordan's district. And then Snowden was there watching it with us, and she has connections, of course, with a lot of different candidates across the country. Snowden's actually really well connected when it comes to Democratic candidates and campaigns and things like that. So seems like it might be a great opportunity for Snowden to reach out and help coordinate. She's really good at that stuff, like coordinating stuff. So I think that's really great. So yeah, I would love to see some more attention come to that documentary. I can't believe the injustice that was done to those athletes. I cannot believe the pain and the suffering and the trauma and the horror that they were subjected to. And I don't know, if I were Ohio State, I would be coming out right now and saying, oh my God, I can't believe we are involved in this. Like, I just don't even know. And how did they not think it would? Yeah, right, Karen? How do you not think that's going to come out? Like, it was really, really a shocking documentary. And it's new. It's a new documentary. And yeah, it's the George Clooney documentary that he had promised about Jim Jordan. And basically it was about the entire situation. So not just about the Jim Jordan part, although that was well done. So I highly recommend. It's called Surviving OSU. Surviving OSU. It's on HBO Max. And I will be happy to play it again in Discord if people don't have access to HBO or Max and would like to see it. I would be happy to arrange another screening of that at a day and time that makes sense for people. So just hit me up and make a suggestion about day and time, and I'll fucking be there. And we'll show it again because I think it's really, really important. The fencing coach did try. Man, this woman who was the fencing coach at OSU, she complained all the time about the doctor because of the complaints that she got. It's just terrible. Jim, what's the name of that guy? It's Strauss. I stopped giving money to MSU after Nassar and told them why every time they called to fundraise, I only give money to MSU libraries now. Oh, Lee, that's so... I understand, like the whole Nassar thing. And it might be hard to believe, but I believe those women got more justice, if you will, in small ways than any of these men, and I'm sure women, but mostly it seemed that men were the victims across teams of this doctor, Richard Strauss, who died in 2005, so he's no longer living, but the coach who knew that it was happening is living. Jim Jordan, the assistant coach, is still living. Some of the trustees of OSU, other things, they knew. So there's a lot of culpability to go around of people that are still alive. So I hope this movie does bring some attention to their story again. I think it was a very powerful documentary. And, of course, traditionally we don't hear men's stories of sexual abuse, right? We don't hear those details in a widespread basis. And so I'm really grateful for this movie to help me understand what has happened to these athletes. Yeah, I mean, it was just really incredible. Really incredible. So highly recommend. Oh, my weed went out. That's sad. Hi, Teresa. How are you? Carrie and Lee and Jane. And Easily Distracted came in. Jim Nalgren. I watched the anonymous video where they traced Taco Don's director right back to Moscow. He uses the same password on his Russian and Intel. Oh, wow. Those should be easy to find. I didn't notice the fan sound when Gal heard it unless it really strained to hear it. I'm not usually wearing headphones, though. Yeah, I wondered about that, too, and I wondered if that could have been my computer being picked up by the headphones. I don't know. Good morning. Good morning, Gal. How are you today? Yes, today, welcome. Welcome to the Church of Bullshit. That's right, Gal. We're in the Church of Bullshit right now. Here we are. Sergio Gore. See, I thought that was Gorka. I was all excited that Gorka was coming back into fashion because he sent me that DM once. Saying, oh, did the widow snowflake get her feelings hurt? I don't know why, because basically all I did was put a gif of Jeffree Star under one of his tweets. So I don't know how that would result or translate into me having hurt feelings, but whatever. Oh, I think it's because, no, I can't remember now why. I guess Seb Gorka remembers it more than I do. I could barely afford going on vacation to NTC thrice. I don't know how people afford to live there. I lived there for a long time, but of course then I lost everything after having a nervous breakdown and I couldn't afford to live there anymore. So, yeah, that happens. That happens. Yep. But yeah, I never, when I lived there, I never understood how people vacation there and spent so much money. That I never understood. I'm like, where are you getting all this money to come here and vacation? It's so expensive to stay in New York City. But I don't know. There you go. Yeah, I never had a rent-controlled place. Like, I've never had a rent-controlled place in my entire life. I don't think those really exist. Because, frankly, I'm 61 years old. I've never had a rent-controlled apartment in my entire existence. Why? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? It's all a sham. It's all a fucking sham. It's all a fucking sham. Wow, Max, you really, you hit bank, girl. I never could. Never could. Well, c'est la vie. Here we are. And here I am. Well, I thought this was going to start a lot sooner, motherfuckers. You guys are fucking pissing me off. What's the matter? Oh, did you hear that Jeff Bezos is off the market, ladies? He's getting married today, so I'm sorry. Oh, wait, is that? Wait. Oh, I see. Is that? Oh, well, I could go ahead and...
5 today.
We're with them all the way. I mean, if you take a look at the numbers...
This was earlier today.
They have very big things to announce today. I don't know if you've taken the vote or you're going to take the vote, but I've been asking them to go up to 5% for a number of years, and they're going up to 5%, and that's a big...
Okay,
from 2%.
Don't let him take credit for any of this. Stop.
So I think that's going to be very big news. NATO is going to become very strong with us.
What?
And I appreciate doing it.
Mark.
Perhaps you want to talk
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely. Let me
Just
first,
embarrass
before I go
him.
to spending, I just want to recognize your decisive action on Iran.
Thank you.
You are a man of strength, but you're also a man of peace.
What?
And the fact that you are now also successful in getting this ceasefire done between Israel and Iran, I really want to commend you for that.
What?
And I think this is important for the whole world. Then on spending, it's absolutely true. I want to state here, without President Trump, this would not have happened. In 3 stages. When you became president...
I'm not watching that. What the fuck is wrong with people? Why? Why do they have to butter him up, Carrie? Why? Tell me why. Tell me why they have to butter him up. Tell me. Tell me. Yeah, they're doing it because Trump has introduced a new arms race. Because Trump has pulled out and decided that he doesn't want to Yeah, I think he's playing him, but that's not how you play him. You do not. Oh my God. I just don't. This is why we can't have nice things, okay? This is why we can't have nice things. No, there's a line, okay? I'm sorry. There's a line. There's a line. You know, you don't have to be this conciliatory. There's choices to be made. Oh, I'm disgusted by people.
In 2016, 2017, you forced Europeans and Canadians to pay more. At this moment, the result of that phase is 1 trillion extra aggregate defense spending by the Canadians and
they're
Europeans.
cutting
you became president
social
in January
services in the UK
phase
because of it.
That all the countries, not yet on 2%, have now committed to the 2%.
They're cutting
this is the old goal
social services in the UK because of it.
7 were not on 2%. Some were saying somewhere in the 2030s. Now this year,
no, I didn't
all of
read
them,
the
including
text.
Canada, including Italy, including Belgium, they have all now committed to the 2%. And now comes the big splash. Today, we will decide to go to 5%. We have to keep ourselves safe from our adversaries, but also because it is fair to equalize with the United States.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jim.
With this 5%, the Europeans and the Canadians will equalize their defense spending with the United States. So this is not about American taxpayers paying more. This is about Europeans, Canadians paying more. And again, this would not have happened. I'm really saying this here. And some people might criticize me, but then when I speak with them, they all say, yes, you're right.
No.
This would not have happened.
I'll tell you, you haven't spoken to me.
You would not have been elected in 2016.
You haven't spoken to me, bitch.
Last year and back into office in January. So I want to thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great victory.
Okay, let me fucking get angry here for a minute. And I'm going to try not to scream because I've got a person in the next room who's trying to have a meeting and I've got people downstairs who are trying to sleep. Let me tell you why this makes me so fucking angry. So fucking angry. Because right now, today, this administration, that man, the orange one, that man is terrorizing American cities. Terrorizing. People are afraid to protest. People are afraid to go to work. People are afraid to go to church. People are afraid to go to the store. People are afraid to go to their naturalization hearings. So while Mark Rutte pumps up this guy to no end, sorry, there's no gain he's going to get out of this, and he should know better. This isn't going to benefit him in any way. He's uplifting a fucking tyrant. I'm sorry. I think there's a way to look out for your own interests and not be a complete sycophant. Yeah, they're cutting. That Kari is in the UK. They're cutting everything there to build up the war machine because Putin is a very serious threat. Absolutely. Absolutely he's a serious threat. But if you believe that this guy is going to have your butt just because you tell him he smells nice, you're wrong. He doesn't give a shit. He is there to stay. He is there to stay in power so that he doesn't go to prison and die in prison. That's all he fucking cares about. If it behooves him to nuke Iran,
we will be equalized very shortly, and that's the way it has to be. And it's going to be a lot of money too, a lot of defense.
Trillions extra.
Yeah, and we have a great relationship, and we've had a great relationship from the beginning. Highly respected man, and Yeah, we appreciate you being here too, everybody.
I hope
We
y'all
really
are
do.
right.
We have a
That's all I have to
tremendous
say.
group of people on my left and a
Hope y'all
tremendous
are
group
right.
of people on my right. They might be even better than my people. I don't know. Let's have a fight. Let's figure it out. Anyway, but we appreciate it, and we've had a tremendous relationship, Mark and I, and we've really worked on this subject for a long time.
Yeah.
And when Biden was here, it just died. It just died like everything else died. And now it's, you're going to take, I guess, a vote today, right?
Absolutely. Today we will decide unanimously to do this. That's my absolute
Lee, I don't blame you.
conviction.
Unfortunately, he's going to be speaking more
we can't
because.
talk about it until the vote's taken.
Yeah, this
because
is how you
sometimes,
converse with your
know,
abuser.
strange things
Okay,
happen
I mean,
to
I've been there,
but
done
I think
that.
you're gonna
I'm
get-
not
I've tried to talk
I think you're
myself
gonna
out
do
of
very
getting
well.
punched in the
Everyone's very
face.
happy about it. Go
Guess
ahead,
what?
yes.
President,
They still
how is
punch
the
you in the
Iran-Israel
face.
ceasefire going, in your opinion?
I think very good. I think very good. Israel came back yesterday. I was so proud of them
This has been an
because they
honor.
came back. You know, they went out because they
Was
felt there was a
fairly long
violation.
trip, but worth it. Tremendous things have been accomplished, as you probably noticed. Listened to a lot of wonderful speeches from the heads of a lot of wonderful countries.
This
But
is
I want
live.
to thank you for joining us at the conclusion of a highly productive NATO summit in the Netherlands. I want to thank them for the royal treatment they've given us. Couldn't have been nicer. And it's a
he at The
beautiful
Hague?
country, really a beautiful country. Coming in, I saw the most beautiful trees. In fact, I want to bring some back with me. I want to also thank. I had breakfast this morning with the King and Queen, and they're incredible people. I said, "Your central casting, beautiful people, great people, big beautiful heart," and I enjoyed that. And also, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who's been terrific. He's been a friend of mine. Used to be right here running this wonderful country. Now he's the NATO Secretary General. He's doing a fantastic job. And the Prime Minister, we appreciate everything you've done. And as you know, last weekend, the United States successfully carried out a massive precision strike on Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities, and it was very, very successful. It was called obliteration. No other military on earth could have done it, and now this incredible exercise of American strength has paved the way for peace with a historic ceasefire agreement late Monday, and we call it the 12-day war. Spoke to a few people. I guess that just sounded like the right name. It was a 12-day war. And we think it's over. I don't think they're going to be going back at each other. I don't
They
think
can't
so.
even. They just
Not only
can't.
have we dealt decisively with the critical threat of Iran's nuclear program, which was what I wanted. I said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've said that for 15 years, long before I decided to do the political thing. But we've also reasserted the credibility of American deterrence, which is like no other. The people at NATO said there's never been anything. You know, I rebuilt the entire military during my first term. And we have a great military. We have great generals. I got to know the good ones and the bad ones. We kept the good ones. Over the past 2 days, I was honored to participate in the NATO leaders meeting and also had extremely good individual discussions with the King and the Queen, Secretary General Rutte, and
Look at
the Prime Minister.
Fat Pete.
Great discussions.
Fat Pete Pig's breath.
Very knowledgeable people. Major
He's all like
focus of our
rotundy, like
conversations at
round.
the summit was the need for other
Drinking
NATO
too
members
much
to
beer.
take up the burden of the defense of Europe, and that included the financial burden. As you know, it was 2%, and we got it up to 5%. And they said, a couple of them came up to me. One in particular said, "Sir, we've been trying to get it up to 3% for 20
I
years.
just don't
and we
understand.
haven't
I
been
guess
able to
living
get it
in
up
Los
to
Angeles,
5%."
I'm perceiving
So
this a
they're
little
gonna be
bit
most of them,
differently.
I guess almost all of them are
In the
gonna be
fact that
contributing
my
now
city's being
5%.
terrorized right
A
now.
number that
Not me, but my
people were
neighbors.
surprised at, but you need it today. The United States accounts for 2/3
So
of all
acting like
NATO
this guy
defense
isn't
spending.
a fucking
Since I
tyrant
began pushing for
is
additional
really beyond the
commitments in
pale for me.
2017, believe it or not, our allies have increased spending by $700 billion. I said to people, you don't have any money, and a lot of them weren't paying. And so I started the process, and I picked it up as soon as I got back, which is 6 months ago. And following my election last November, almost all have accelerated plans to reach the 2%, 3%, 4%, and then ultimately, very quickly, 5%.
I don't blame you, Badger.
All of this is
come
gonna
back
be
in
done
about
very
a half an
quickly,
hour or
almost
20 minutes.
immediately. You probably
They'll be
know
gone.
this as well as I do. I'm sure they've been talking about it. It's really been a big focus. In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate. When the allies reach this number, it will add more than $1 trillion a year. Think of that, $1 trillion per year to our common defense. And this is a monument really to victory, but it's a monumental win for the United States because we were carrying much more than our fair share. It was quite unfair, actually. But this is a big win for Europe and for actually Western civilization. For years, past administrations failed to get most allies to contribute even the 2%. I remember when I came here, we had 4 countries that were up to 2%, and I remember Poland was there. A couple of them were there, and but most of them were. We had 28 at the time, as you know. It's increased a little bit, and they've agreed now to more than double their budgets in all cases. And Europe stepping up to take more responsibility for its security will help prevent future disasters like the horrible situation with Russia and Ukraine, and hopefully we're going to get that solved. Last week they lost 7,000 soldiers, mostly soldiers, but they're also getting hit in Kiev. They're getting hit in some of the towns also. And that means life. Life is disappearing also in the cities and towns. Should have never happened, would have never happened if I was president. I said it 1,000 times. And it never did happen. It's never even thought about. But it's vital that this additional money be spent on very serious military hardware, not bureaucracy. And hopefully that hardware is going to be made in America because we have the best hardware in the world. You saw that where 14 missiles were shot at us the other day. And they were very nice. They gave us warning. They said, "We're going to shoot them. Is 1 o'clock okay?" They said, "It's fine."
What? 14? Who shot 14 missiles at us?
So they couldn't get hurt except for the gunners.
Ooh.
They call them the gunners. And out of 14 high-end missiles that were shot at the base in Qatar,
I don't understand this. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
By our equipment. Amazing stuff.
I don't get
Amazing that they can do. It's like shooting a bullet with a bullet. It's the same thing if you think about it. 14 out of 14, and they weren't even that surprised. I said,
who shot the 14? What was this? Did I miss something?
The Ukraine crisis has also highlighted the urgency of rebuilding our defense industrial base, both in the United States and among the allied nations. We cannot afford to be dependent on foreign adversaries for critical minerals. And as you know, we made a deal with Ukraine to take a vast amount of the land they have
50%
for minerals. We need it.
50%.
And once again, I want to thank all of the
How is
people
that right?
in the Netherlands, incredible people. It's a great place. And all of the NATO allies for the tremendous summit that we just had. A letter just came in, and a statement came in from the Atomic Energy Commission of Israel, and I just wondered, this is an official
Who the fuck are they?
Letter, and they're
Who
very
the
serious
fuck are
people,
they?
as you know. The devastating
Who the
U.S.
fuck are
strike
they?
on Fordo
Oh, is that what he's talking about?
Infrastructure
Okay.
and rendered the
I don't
enrichment
know what she's talking about.
facility totally inoperable. It was devastated.
Okay, I put up
We
something this
assess
morning
the
that I
American
think is
strikes
possible.
on Iran's nuclear facilities has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons for many years to come.
What if, hear me out, hear me out. What if Israel, Russia, the Saudis, that whole region, and Iran, what if they came up with this little situation to draw attention into Iran so that Putin can finish the job, because drawing into a larger conflict will keep NATO forces busy trying to, manage both fronts, if you will. Is there a world where something like that happens? Is there a world where that is part of what is happening here? Is that this is also to allow Putin to have more opportunity with Ukraine if Europe is kind of focused on both fronts in both theaters, Is there a world where that might be something? Keeping the U.S. and NATO is so critical, because if you can somehow hold and put reasonable people back in charge, having a strong NATO, well, okay, there's a big if there, gal. If you can somehow hold out and put reasonable people back in charge. Okay, you know what? I clearly I'm the one out of step with this whole thing that, fuck this, whatever.
This achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not.
I think Iran is part of it.
Nuclear material, which it won't.
Because everybody talked to each other and said, "Hey, would you move all your nuclear material because we're about to bomb those bunker busters?"
Want to thank our pilots. They were
and so they did.
And treated very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN, which is back there, believe it or not, wasting time, nobody's watching them, so they're just wasting a lot of time, wasting my time.
And everybody thinks this is funny.
And the New York Times, they put out a story.
They think this is funny.
Well, maybe they were hit, but it wasn't bad. Well, it was so bad that they ended the war. It ended the war. Somebody said in a certain way, that it was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima,
people have to scream.
Nagasaki, that ended a war too. This ended a war in a different way, but it was so devastating. Also, they have out of Dubai.
Yeah, MBS and Putin.
Just came that Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, this is Iran's foreign ministry, says its nuclear installations were very badly damaged by
very badly damaged.
What
real bad.
Me about these reports with fake reports put out by the New York Times, I call it the failing New York Times because it's doing terribly. Without me, it would be doing no business at all. But and by fake news, CNN and MSDNC, all of these terrible people. They have no credibility. When I started, they were at 94% credibility, the media. Now it's at 16%. And I'm very proud of it because I've exposed it for what it is. But when I saw them starting to question the caliber of the attack,
was a funny name.
Bad? Well, it was really bad. It was
Camel
Tony. In fact, you can't get into the tunnels. They just put that over. That just
That's on Twitch.
There's no way you can even get down. The whole thing is collapsed in a disaster. And I think all of the nuclear stuff is down there because it's very hard to remove. And we did it very quickly. When they heard we were coming, it was, you can't move it. It's very hard, very dangerous, actually, to move to.
Is he telling us all the stuff that happened? Wait a minute.
So I don't think too many people want to be down there knowing we're coming.
Wait a minute. Is he basically talking about... he's basically talking and giving all the... he's giving all the details of this operation away? Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, that story's about vote. I want to read that. We've got a lot this morning. I mean, we're just going to be on a lot today, okay? Yeah, did they hear we were coming? Yeah, oomph, that's what I wondered. Lee! Oh my gosh. I'm going to do this for now, but I'm going to come back and we're going to do a song. Yeah, what about the clever Guam ruse? Yeah, that was quite clever, wasn't it? I fell for it. No, I didn't. Okay, what? Is he just telling us about all the stuff that happened? And so, oh my God.
With the bunker busters, as we call them, we're the only ones that have them. We have the best equipment, best nuclear equipment.
Best everything.
We have the best equipment in the world. And by the way,
best underwear.
We can't forget our submarine.
Best
which
waffles.
Was out there. Submarines, actually, but submarine was out there. We shot.
You have. Is he giving all the
rockets into an area? Every single one of them. I think it was almost 400 miles away. I think, Pete, right? 400, and long. What? It was in the ocean.
Are we good?
Long ways away.
Are we doing?
and we shot.
Are we what?
We shot a total of 30. Every single one of them hit within 9 inches from where it was supposed to be. It took out a lot because we didn't do just photo.
Yeah,
We
isn't
did,
he, Kari? Am I wrong?
2 others in addition.
Seems like a lot of detail that
completely
we don't normally hear
destroyed.
about.
So we hit them with a submarine from hundreds of miles away. Amazing, just amazing equipment.
Wait, what?
Greatest submarines in the world. Nobody's even close. They're 20
Wait,
years
what?
behind us when it comes to submarine technology.
Wait, what?
So that's one, and the other was.
Oh my God.
Was from the Atomic
I'm about
Energy
to start
Commission.
saying to the generals and the whatevers,
coming in from Atomic Energy
you better
Commissions
do
from
something.
various places, but the one that we have
You better fucking do
just
something.
came out, we released it a little while ago, was from the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission, but numerous of them are getting to see the site, and the site has been demolished. And again,
Who's getting to see the site?
Brave patriots, these incredible flyers. These,
No, I think Ruta should be fucking standing there, Jane.
Than anybody can fly a plane, going into very hostile territory.
Look what you
flying
did.
into,
Look what you're endorsing, you stupid fuck.
the territory that has got more.
You don't need to be
missiles
that
and things
gracious. You
pointed
can
at
say,
it.
yeah, thanks,
But
Mr.
It
President.
was very stealth. They didn't get to see it. It was dark. That's the amazing thing about the shots. They
Oh,
hit the shots
gosh,
perfectly,
meowing
and yet
star.
It was dead dark. There was no moon. There was
know.
no light. It
Understand.
was virtually moonless. It was very dark, and the shots were hit perfectly. But when they get demeaned, and they were very upset about it because they knew how strong it would be. Back in Missouri, the pilots flew about 36 hours, 2
Oh
ways.
my God, is he
far
just telling us
distance, and
everything?
in those incredible B-2s.
Like, I don't
And
wanna
we then
know.
had the F-22s, and we had the F-35s, and we had other planes, and we had, I think, a total of 52 tankers.
So you
That
put a
means the
bunch of
big-
people at risk.
The big tankers, because
Okay.
the refueling was a lot for all of the different planes that we sent. Incredible operation.
What?
And I have to say, General Raisin Cain was incredible.
Oh, my
That's
God.
why he beat ISIS.
Raisin
We beat
Cain, I
ISIS
hope
in a
you're
matter of
court-martialed
weeks.
and hung.
I was told it would take
That's what I
4 to
hope.
5 years. We did it in a few weeks.
That's what I hope.
And he
I
was
hope they
great.
court-martial
That's why he's
you
ahead
and then they hang you
of the Joint
for
Chiefs of
treason
Staff right
until you're
now,
dead.
because I had a very good
In
experience.
fact, I
with him.
hope
He
they
knocked
hang
out
this guy
ISIS in a
too
period
from
of
his neck until
literally
he's
a
dead.
few weeks. Amazing.
Because these
That was
people
supposed to
are
take a few
traitors
years,
and have committed
5 years to
treason.
be exact.
And what do we
So
do with
We had a
treasoners?
great
We hang them.
victory there, and we then came here, and I think we had a great victory here. But this is an ongoing project. This is the safety of Europe, the safety of the world, and they've raised it from 2% to 5%.
Boy, this better be worth
something
it.
Which nobody. And
I
you're
hope
talking
it's worth
about
it, NATO.
Over $1 trillion a year. So we're talking about a lot of money from coming in from countries that were not paying nearly enough to be effective.
I hope you're
So
happy.
I have, as you know, Marco Rubio with me, and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State and Secretary of War. Should we say Secretary? You know, it used to be called Secretary
Oh,
of
my
War. Maybe for a
God.
couple of weeks we'll call it that.
What?
Because we feel like warriors. Used to be called Secretary of War. In fact, if you look at the old building next to the White House, you can see where it used to be Secretary of War. Then we became politically correct, and they called it Secretary of Defense. I don't know.
Oh,
maybe
my
we'll have to
God.
start thinking about changing it.
Oh my
But
God.
we feel that way.
Oh my God. I
do we
just
have any
want these
questions,
people to
please?
all fucking get hit
Wow.
by. What, can we bomb this?
That's a
like,
lot of questions.
Stage?
Who's a nice person? Oh, you're not a nice person, but I'll let you ask one. Go ahead. What's he going to ask? He is not nice at all. I know him well.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time before flying home. You just said
Shut
you
up.
believe the conflict
This
between
fucking
Israel
guy.
and Iran
Fuck this
is
guy.
over. What makes you so confident it is? And what do you do if it isn't?
Because I dealt with both, and they're both tired, exhausted. They fought very, very hard and very viciously, very violently, and they were both satisfied to go home and get out. And can it start again? I guess someday it can. It could maybe start soon.
Oh my God.
I think a big telltale sign was when, as you know, Iran somewhat, by not much, violated the ceasefire.
I thought Israel
And
violated
Israel had
it.
the planes going out that morning, and there were a lot of them, 52 of them.
What?
And I said, you got to
That's
get
a
them
lie.
back. And they brought them back. They didn't do anything. They brought them back. It was very good. I thought it was amazing, actually. They have fought a hell of a war. They fought very hard. I think the war ended, actually, when we hit the various nuclear sites.
What
with
are we
planes.
talking? War? What
and
war?
I just hope you people can give these pilots. These are the best
What
pilots
fucking
in the
war?
world. They're the best shots in the world. They call them shots. That's what they are. And wait a minute.
Yeah, can you follow up?
I
Can
just
you
hope
do your
can give them
fucking
the
job, you
respect they
stupid
deserve,
fucking
because
journalist?
They came home to fake news, and like, oh, gee, there was hardly any damage. The things are decimated. So, but I think they're very much finished. I think Israel's going to get back to doing what they do, and I think that Iran's going to get back. You know, Iran has a huge advantage. They have great oil, and they can do things. I don't see them getting back involved in the nuclear business anymore.
Oh, really? You don't? You don't think that's going to happen?
20 years, and I don't see that happening.
You don't
either.
think
Now,
so?
If it does, we're always there. It won't be me. It'll be somebody else, but we're there. We'll have to do something about it. Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news, CNN? Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question. You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
Fuck
I
off.
think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is also Iran made the statement. And it's also, if you read the document that was given, that Pete can talk about if you'd like, the document said it could be very severe damage.
It could
be. They
be.
didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know, other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't choose to put that because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site. And the site is obliterated.
Which people?
And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out.
Really?
Okay.
You think so?
Please, go ahead.
What proof do you have?
Go ahead. Yeah. Blue dress.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Yesterday, you said China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran.
Yeah.
Are you giving up on your maximum pressure campaign? Because there's sanctions right now.
With who?
On Iran.
No, look, they just had a war. The war was fought. They fought it bravely.
What?
I'm not giving
What
up.
war?
They're in the oil business. I mean, I could stop it if I wanted. I could sell China the oil myself. I don't want to do that. They're going to need money to put that country back into shape. We want to see that happen.
Okay.
No.
Can I explain something to you that I'm noticing? This is another example of the Mar-a-Lago Accord. And the reason I'm saying that is because part of the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is how to restructure global trade, is to extort from countries security in exchange for natural resources, oil, minerals, etc., water, whatever. Whatever the natural resource is, this is what they are. This is what they're trying to do. And now they're doing it with Iran. I think all of this was part of pressuring Iran to give up their oil. You know, like that's part of it. So this is a little test case. There's a lot of possibilities with this particular like KFAB of what is actually behind it. And we should take none of that for granted. Yeah, that's true. It's I'm sorry, the 12-day war. I didn't even know there was whatever. I can't. I'm almost done, and this is going to be a long day.
Oh, if they're going to sell oil, they're going to sell oil. We're not taking over the oil. We could have, you know. I used to say with Iraq, keep the oil. I could say it here too. We could have kept the oil. No, China's
So what's happening with the oil?
Want to buy oil. They can buy it from us. They can buy it from other people. But you're going to have to put that country back into shape. It desperately needs money. Yeah.
And we're the ones who are going to buy it?
Here we go. I'm picking the beauties today. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Secretary General Rutte has described President Putin as an adversary, a threat, an enemy. Do you view him the same way? And in addition to that, you mentioned General Kane, your chief of staff. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
General Kane.
Yes. He has said that Mr. Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine.
Yeah, because he said it.
It's possible. I mean, it's possible. I know one thing. He'd like to settle. He'd like to get out of this thing. It's a mess for him. He called the other day.
Every time he breathes like that, he's lying.
Iran. I said, no, you can help me with Russia. Because, you know, in the last few weeks, we took care of India and Pakistan.
What?
Kosovo, Serbia. I think on Friday we have coming in, the Congo is coming in, and Rwanda is coming in. Really? There was a vicious war that went on, a machete war. Heads chopped off all over Africa. They're coming in. We did 2 others in addition to that. Nobody's ever done anything like this.
What is going on here?
No, I consider him a person that's, I think, been misguided. I'm very surprised.
I'm just going to run away.
I thought we would have had that settled.
Going to run away.
Easy. I've settled 4 of them in the meantime. But he did call up, and he said, you know, he's close to Iran. He'd like to help us get a settlement. I said, no, you help me get a settlement with Russia. And I think we're going to be doing that too.
Wait.
Yeah, please.
Putin called him
Go ahead,
to help with Iran?
Thank you, Mr. President.
What?
You made clear your position on what impact the strikes had. I wanted to ask you what is next with Iran. For instance, is there any indication from U.S. intelligence that Iran was able to remove
Hutus and
any
Tutsis
material?
No, we just the opposite. We think we hit them so hard and so fast they didn't get to move. And if you knew about that material, it's very hard and very dangerous.
Well, but wait a minute, because there's evidence that they did move stuff.
In many people, they call it dust.
There's
but it's very, very heavy. It's very, very hard to move. And they were way down.
No, they moved it
30
because there's
down.
evidence. There's
35
satellite evidence of them moving it.
Oh yeah, we think we think it's covered with granite, concrete, and steel.
Can I ask you, are you interested in
Where'd the granite come from?
Negotiations with Iran? And if so, have they reciprocated?
So our people, Marco could answer this, but our people are not. I'm not. The way I look at it. They fought, the war's done, and, you know, I could get a statement that they're not going to go nuclear. We're probably going to ask for that, but they're not going to be doing it. But they're not going to be doing it anyway.
This is so dumb.
They've had it. Now, maybe someday in the future we'll want that. But I've asked Marco, do you want to draw, I just asked him the question as we were walking on the stage, do you want to draw up a little agreement for them to sign? Because I think we can get them to sign it. I don't think it's necessary.
What are we
Marco,
living
do you want to
in?
talk about that, please?
What are we living in?
Mr. President,
Marco, you're going straight to hell, by the
Trump
way.
has shown a willingness to meet and talk to anybody in the world who's interested in peace. I don't know of any president that's been as willing as he has to meet with anyone and talk about peace. We'd love to have peaceful relations.
Why don't you just get down on your knees and open his trousers?
And so,
Let's
obviously,
cut to the chase.
On Iran's willingness
Granted
not
from the
just to engage in
protesters.
peace, but to negotiate directly with the United States, not through some third country or fourth country process. But I know of no president, probably in our modern history, that's sought peace more than President Trump has.
What?
Sounds like the door is open, but you're in no rush.
Wow, your tape must be really good.
I'll tell you what, look, we're going to talk to them next week.
Next week?
Iran.
2 weeks?
We may sign an agreement. I don't know.
Maybe, because I don't know. I just talked to Marco about it.
They had a war. They fought. Now they're going back to their world. I don't care if I have an agreement or not. The only thing we'd be asking for is what we were asking for before about we want no nuclear.
No nuclears.
We destroyed the nuclear.
Well, then,
in other words,
why would we ask for that?
Iran will not have nuclear. Well, we blew it up. It's blown up.
I can't wait. You know what? I almost want Iran to say, but you didn't get this one.
Wouldn't be bad. We're going to meet with them, actually. We're going to meet with them. Yeah.
When are you meeting with them? Did you just announce that?
Yes. Mr. President, Netherlands TV, thank you for visiting our country.
Shut up.
Thank you.
Shut the fuck up.
I, of course, would like to know how you slept last night at the
Shut the
House
fuck
of
up.
I slept beautifully.
But probably a more serious question. I think you just had a meeting with President Zelensky.
Fuck
Did you
this guy.
discuss any
Fuck these guys.
ceasefire in this Russo-Ukrainian?
No, I just
Fuck
I
their
wanted to know
politeness.
how he's doing. It was very nice, actually. You know, we had little rough times sometimes. He was couldn't have been nicer. I think he'd like to see an end to this. I do. I think,
You think so?
What I took from
An
the
end to
meeting
the
couldn't have been
invasion of his
nicer,
country?
actually, but I took from the meeting that he'd like to see it end. I think it's a great time to end it. I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin and see if we can get it ended. But look, these are brave people. They're fighting these wars.
He's just
all
like
over the
playing
place,
with people's lives.
Last week,
And all these men are standing around pumping him up and patting him on the butt and saying, good job.
Russian and Ukrainian
Stop
soldiers
it.
were killed,
You're
7,000
disgusting
in 1
me.
week. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I'll be speaking to Putin. No, I
Yeah,
had a good
marble
meeting
mouth Rubio.
with Zelensky. And I had a lot of good meetings. We had a lot of good meetings with a lot of people, a lot of great leaders.
Ooh.
But he's fighting a brave battle. It's a tough battle.
He's being invaded. Oh my God, I hate this world so much.
Thank you. Ida Hallikainen from Finland, Ilta-Sanomat. You have played golf with President Alexander Stubb. How do you see Finland as a NATO ally and partner, and how would you describe your relationship with our president?
Well, he's a very good golfer.
Oh, what a dumb fucking question, you stupid
he was
cunt.
in his college golf team. He went to a good college in the South, as you know, a very good college, and he was a good golfer. We had a good time. I think my relationship's great. I want to buy icebreakers. You know, you're very good at icebreakers. And I actually made him an offer. I didn't go to Congress. They'll try and impeach me for this. But there's an old, it's not old, it's fairly new, but it's used icebreaker. And I offered him about 1/3 of what he asked for. But we're negotiating. We need icebreakers in the U.S. And if we can get some inexpensively, I'd like to do that. Actually, they'll fix it up, make it good.
None of these people know better. They're all like enamored of the celebrity badger.
You're the king of icebreakers.
This bitch thinks this is her big fucking moment.
Make them good.
So she's going to smile and look pretty.
And so
You
we're
should sit the
negotiating with
fuck
them for
down.
about 15 different icebreakers, but one of them is available now. It's old, and it's
fucking hate this.
old. It's like 5-6 years old.
People who can't handle
And we're trying to buy
celebrity.
it. I'm trying to make a good deal. That's all I do my whole life. My whole life, that's all I do is make deals. Yeah, please. Go ahead. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah, a question for
Hate the
NewsHour,
press.
Dutch
I hate
TV.
all
First
press.
of all, on Article 5, on your way here, you spoke about the commitment of the U.S. to Article 5, saying, I'll give you my definition once we're here.
Yeah.
What is your definition, and may the U.S. commitment to Article 5 change in case some of the NATO members do not reach the threshold that was discussed today? My second question is following up on a colleague on Iran. What intel reports do say that everything over there was
thank you. Finally, an
Yeah,
intelligent
there are
question.
Numerous of those reports, and they're coming out fast and furious.
Where?
But the
Whose?
most respected ones we've already seen. And I will say that on a very confidential basis, they're looking at the reports, like numerous reports, and including people going to the site and checking the site.
Who?
And they're going to be having, I guess you're going to be having over the next couple of days a full, you're going to encapsulate.
Oh, so you don't
it.
have a report?
But no, the site was obliterated.
So you don't
just
have
like
a
I said
report?
it was. And just like the pilots should be given credit for. As far as Article 5, look, when I came here,
He sniffed.
I came here because it was something I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh.
But I left here a little bit different.
Oh.
Differently. I said, I watched the heads of these countries get up, and the love and the passion that they showed for their country was unbelievable. I've never seen quite anything like it. They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And you can ask Mark, or you can ask any of the people that were there. It was really moving to see it. They love their country. They were so respectful of me because I'm the head of the United States. And I made, the King of Saudi Arabia, when I was in the Middle East. So I was in Qatar for a different reason, not a reason to get shot at. We were in there for economic development reasons, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. All three leaders of those countries, and we took back $5.1 trillion into the United States.
Yeah, I know.
All
I have a lot of
three
questions
leaders said,
about
you're
that.
presiding over the hottest country
What did
in the
they
world.
get
the
for
United
it?
States right now is the hottest. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody.
What did they get for it? That's what I want to know, because I've been saying this now since he's been there. Okay? I've been saying this since he's been to the Middle East. What does all of the Middle East trip have to do with anything that's happened since then? Since the Iran bombing, etc. What did they get in return?
Everybody wants a piece of it. He said a year ago, your country was dead. You had a deadhead running it. You had a country that was dead, and it was dead. You had people pouring through the
I wish you were
borders.
dead.
You had inflation. You had everything. He said, you've made
Sorry,
it in
I do.
5 months at that time.
Yeah,
You made
Tintin
it
won't
the
always
hottest
be
country.
around.
This is the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest country in the world. And when I was around
because we're
table,
like a fucking unpredictable powder keg with police on our streets terrorizing us.
Many of whom I knew from previous. When I saw the passion they had for the country, almost everyone, and you probably have the tapes.
This is what changed his mind.
Public, but almost every one of them said, "Thank God for the United States. Without the United States."
Okay, well, you know what? Good job, everybody. You did it. You did it. Real good.
In the future because now
real
they're paying
great.
much more money. But
really good job, Ruta. Yeah, I hope you have some brown stains on your mouth.
And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff. And we're here
I
to
fucking
help
hate
them
all these
protect their
people.
country.
I hate them all.
Okay, we'll do one or two more.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today?
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And, you know, they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. You know, Spain is the only country that... Are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You're the only country that is not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll make it up. You know what we're going to do? We're negotiating with Spain on a trade deal. We're going to make them pay twice as much. And I'm actually serious about that. We're going to make Spain... I like Spain. I have so many people from Spain that it's a great place and they're great people. But Spain is the only country out of all of the countries that refuses to pay. And, you know, so they want a little bit of a free ride. But they'll have to pay it back to us on trade because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair to NATO. All right, sir, please. Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you, tall one. The tall man.
Mr. President, Johannes Petra from Austrian National Television.
How are you?
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said you said that sarcastically.
Well, of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars. I mean, look, we just ended a war in 12 days that was simmering for 30 years, frankly. We ended Rwanda and the Congo.
Wait, Rwanda and the Congo is not, they're not fighting anymore?
I think to the White House on Friday.
By the way, there's two groups there.
Who's going to go at it.
Let me explain to you that there's no heroes in the Rwandan Congolese conflict, okay? The government of the Congo as well as the government of Rwanda are both autocratic, tyrannical sponsors of slavery and otherwise, okay? So the Rwandan person is a fucking dick. And it is I know people who live in Rwanda and the information I've gotten from them, quite honestly, over the decades, is that it is like living in an autocratic state with surveillance and other things, okay? I have a friend who is Congolese, was working on anti-slavery in the Congo, but because he was working on anti-slavery, he had to live over the border in Rwanda to be safe from the Congo government. But then he was constantly surveilled and harassed by Rwandan police because he was also known in the region as an abolitionist and, you know, a person who was fighting for the abolition of slaves in that region. So both of those governments are fucking tyrannical bitches. So who exactly have we helped in the Congo-Rwandan conflict? I'd love to know.
And Pakistan. And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes like we're talking about in the Middle East, like we're talking about with Israel and Iran. This is they have nuclear weapons. I ended that with a series of phone calls on trade. I said, look, if you're going to go fighting each other, it was getting very bad. You know how bad that last attack was. It was really bad. If you're going to go fighting each other, we're not doing any trade deal. No, you have to do a trade deal. They said, we're not doing any trade deal. And in fact, I had the general, who was very impressive.
Be cutting off trade.
General from Pakistan was in my office last week. You know, Prime Minister Modi is a great friend of mine. He's a great gentleman. He's a great man.
He's actually not a great man.
And I said, we're not doing a trade deal if you're going to fight. And if you're going to fight each other, we're not doing a trade deal. And you know what? He said, no, I want to do the trade deal. We stopped the nuclear war. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. Here's another beauty, Jeff.
Listen, this is all part of this fucking fake story.
Mr. President,
and these people are propping up fake stories, and I'm sick of it. And I don't know what the fuck we need to do in order to get this changed, but I'm fucking over it.
Another meeting with the Dutch opposition leader, Mr. Wilders. Can you tell us about that meeting, and are you upset about his anti-Muslim stance?
I'm not upset about it. It's just his view.
He agrees with it.
He's unhappy with the way things are going in this country and various countries. He was an opposition leader. And I was asked to meet with the opposition leader by the people that are running. I think they have some deal where if you have a meeting, you're supposed to meet with an opposition leader. I said, that's strange.
Yeah, Susie Wiles, of course she was.
But I met with I didn't know him. He seemed like a very nice guy, but he's in opposition to the current people, and that was set up by the current people. So I assume when I met with the Prime Minister, you're supposed to meet with the opposition. We'll have to try that.
Is that the way it works?
In our country. Let's not do it. But he was.
What?
I thought he was very good. As far as money going, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of spirit. Look, Vladimir Putin really has to end that war. People are dying at levels that people haven't seen before for a long time. Go ahead. Go ahead. White shirt. Oh, she's all excited.
So, BBC News Ukrainian.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ukraine.
Oh,
so my question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you very, it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He is.
He's there now?
Yeah.
Wow. That's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
In Warsaw.
And you're a reporter?
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available, They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel. And they're very effective, 100% effective.
What?
Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question. And I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you.
And you're not going to sell them?
Say hello to your husband, okay?
Oh my God. I just want him to die. I want someone to fucking stab him in the throat till he bleeds out on the stage in front of everyone. That's what I want.
Where are you from?
That's what I want.
News.
Oh, Bloomberg.
That's
wonderful.
I'm not going to do anything about it.
But
that's what I want.
Before coming to this summit,
Yeah, I think he's terrible.
I was wondering if you've begun interviewing different candidates for the Fed pick.
Yeah, I know within 3 or 4 people who are going to pick. I mean, he goes up pretty soon, fortunately, because I think he's terrible. We have no inflation. We have a tremendous economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is pouring in. Factories are being built because they don't want to pay the tariffs.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry we have to watch
country.
this.
I think we're close to $15 trillion.
I'm so sorry we're watching this.
$1 trillion from the Middle East alone, but of investment money coming in. There's never been anything like that in the history of our country. But we have no inflation. And we have borrowing because Biden, stupidly, they did short-term debt. So we have borrowing coming up. And, we'll go 10 years, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but we'll go a long period of time when we do the debt. And because of him.
Do you want to know why he just said that? Because part of the Mar-a-Lago Accord to restructure global trade, not just a pie-in-the-sky idea, but something that his chief economic advisor has told him to do, is that they want to convert the debt held by foreign countries into 100-year zero-coupon bonds. Okay? That's what he's talking about.
Because of this guy, we will have to pay for years we'll be paying for him. And I said to him, listen, there's no inflation. He says, but maybe there'll be some. That's true. I said, if there is some, what you do is raise the rate. I'm okay with that. You raise the rate in 2 years from now.
It's not your decision, dickweed.
But because the rate's high, we have to pay more for debt. It's pretty equal. In other words, if it's 4%, it's 4%. If you drop it a point, you'll pay 3%. So it's fairly equal. Not necessarily, but fairly equal. So we're going to end up paying maybe 2 points or 3 points more. 3 points would be about $900 billion a year because of this very average mentally person. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does, low IQ for what he does, okay? Wait, so instead of paying $900 billion, we don't want to pay 900 just because he doesn't want to lower the rate. I said, if there's inflation in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year from now, you raise the rate and you take care of the inflation, among other things. But he's probably a very political guy, I guess. I don't know. I think he's a very stupid person, actually. All right, one more. Let's go. How about you?
Stupid.
Go ahead. She looks so happy and everything.
Thank you.
That's why I picked her.
I'm from Spain, too. I'm Ana Buch from La Vanguardia. I wanted to know if...
You're where from?
Spain, too. I wanted to know if you want to...
That's the Spain corner right there. Shouldn't have said that. That's okay. I do like Spain, by the way. I think it's unfair that they're not paying, but go ahead.
Are you going to negotiate directly with Spain about...
I'm going to negotiate directly with Spain. I'm going to do it myself. They're going to pay. They'll pay more money this way. You should tell them to go back.
That takes money away from their national spending, by the way.
Tell them to go back. They ought to join all of those countries that are paying 5%.
UK is cutting public programs in order to... I know, Val, you're right. I'm just so mad.
Okay, all right, Kelly,
my heart is broken.
Here we go. Here's another one.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much.
We got them all today.
Okay. So, Mr. President, you talked about expecting some on-the-ground assessments at Fordo and other sites.
Now here again.
These people are useless. I don't know why he's even scared.
It's been obliterated, Kelly. It's been
What is your message then, sir, to the intelligence community when they present reports? You're not disputing the DIA report. You're just...
They presented a report that wasn't finished. We're talking about something that took place 3 days ago.
I understand that, sir.
The report was done 2 days ago. Wait a minute.
Yes.
They didn't see it. All they can do is take a guess. Now, if you take a look at the pictures, if you take a look how it's all blackened, you know the fire and brimstone is all underground because it's granite and it's all underground. You don't show it.
Is it granite? I just don't know what the...
All of that being said, the whole area for
geology
75
is of
yards
Iran.
around, the hole where it hit is black with fire. The group that's run by this gentleman, in fact, you may want to talk about it for a second.
What's the matter? All-out home destruction. What are you?
And I think it's not even a very exciting report.
What's your shamed alt?
It's been obliterated, totally obliterated. And they did a report, but it was.
I don't even know what an anarcho alt left is.
Understood, sir.
So they didn't see it. They said it may be very severe.
Understood. Do you have a message for the
Why don't
intelligence
you go
community,
fuck your
though, in terms
mom?
of
She's wants you
unvarnished
to. She's been
information
telling
getting to
me.
you, that it's not...
I don't really have a message.
I'm so tired
I
of
would
people.
say issue the report when you know what happened. I wouldn't say that it could be severe or maybe not. They use the word severe. It could be severe or maybe it's not. So people like you picked up and said, oh, it's not severe. No, the report was not a complete report. Yeah, the message was probably wait till you know the answer before you...
And sir, did you not have a public component to your Zelensky meeting?
Oh, it's
for
Bob
a tactical
Coxless?
reason
Okay, he really likes me.
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
He really likes me.
There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These
Sorry,
pilots,
bitch.
these refuelers,
Go
these
yank your
fighters,
dick somewhere else.
these
Nobody
air
gives a
defenders,
shit.
The skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people in the world
males.
to take out a nuclear program is beyond
There's
what
another
anyone in this
one.
audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt
Are you hungover,
President
sir?
Trump or our country. They don't care
Are you
what the troops
hungover?
think. They don't care what the world thinks.
No,
They wanna
actually, we
spin
want to
it
know the
to try to
facts,
make
you
him look
stupid
bad
fuck.
based on
Why
a
are you
leak.
so
Of course,
scared?
we've all seen plenty of
Why are
leakers.
you
And what
so
do leakers
Why are
do?
you
They
so
have
angry
agendas.
this morning?
And what do
What's
they
the
do?
matter?
They share the whole information.
What are you mad about?
Or just the part that they want to introduce.
What are you so mad
and when they
about?
introduce that a preliminary report that's
I
deemed to
know, Max,
be
but you're good at it.
A low assessment. You know what a low assessment means? Low confidence.
You're good
in
at
the
it.
data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12, 30,000
Okay, calm down,
bombs
silly.
is
Calm
buried under a
down.
mountain, devastated and obliterated.
Calm.
So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo,
Chill.
you better get a big
Chill,
shovel
bitch.
and go really deep.
Chill,
because
bitch.
Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And
How embarrassing. You're the head of the armed forces. God, just
with
fucking
low confidence, we
calm
think
down.
Maybe it's moderate. Those that drop the bombs precisely in the right place.
What the hell is
know
an anarcho alt
exactly
left?
What happened
I don't
when
even
that
know what
exploded.
that
And you know
is.
who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right
Is
away.
that like
because
the
their
alt
nuclear
national parks or
capabilities
something? I
have
don't
been
get
set
it.
back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage
I just
of a
can't
commander-in-chief who
stand
led
it.
our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
But you're not disputing the report.
Because I care about people. I guess you don't. I don't give a shit. I think I care about people more than any other fucking chud on this fucking website.
They think, but they had no idea. They shouldn't have issued a report.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop this because I just can't fucking handle it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I can't. What's an alt anarcho? Aren't anarcho alt left? I don't understand that. Yeah, try to put me in a box. That's a great idea. A lot of people have tried to do that and they fucking fail every time. All right, so this is Voice of America. This one is unavailable. That's that. And that's Marco Rubio. That was an earlier thing. Okay, let's go to this one. Oh wait, is this over? I'm so confused. Okay.
Your testimony has highlighted systemic problems in Iran, the Nazis.
I don't want to hear any of the thing he's saying. Okay, well, let's just go to questions. Let's go to the Democrat questions because I don't want to hear her.
Which Congress
This is
established
Voice of
and confirmed
America.
in
Sorry,
2023.
equally frustrating.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Lake, you may recall the White House fired the board members.
Carrie Lake
earlier.
does not have her
because I do agree with Mr.
Vaseline
McCall
filter
on the need of making sure that the voice
the
of
Rust
America
Vote thing. That's later
in those
on.
places
Yeah, and I
where
have that.
our
Yeah.
adversaries have
We have
false
that's
information
coming.
going through. But you cannot do that simply by reducing
for his
and
nuts.
ending all individuals that are work within that agency.
I'm sorry
So
I let it go up. on
These
that
board
one.
members, for example, that were fired, despite their political and policy differences, those members
Syndicalist.
wrote, and I quote, defunding, as you have done, these networks, because you can't do anything without money, but defunding these networks at this critical moment will undermine the United States' efforts to counter the biased narratives from America's authoritarian competitors. It's crucial. Some have said that it seems as though that our adversaries under this administration has been considered or treated like they're our allies.
I'm just going to call something out because Bob Cox is back, and I don't usually want to pay attention to chuds, but we're going to go ahead and give him a little bit of attention. Why are you so obsessed with DOA? Because you've got like Aunt's saxophone tears, and then you had something about whatever your last name was. You're clearly obsessed with Aunt. Do you think you should talk about that a little bit, Bob? Are you really obsessed with Aunt that much? Really? Why don't you stop talking to Max in my chat, because you're such a small little penis. You're such tiny dick energy, and what you're doing is coming in with alts that glorify Aunt. So what, are you obsessed with him or something? What's the matter with you? Oh no, you do know what I'm talking about. No, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry that you have exposed yourself like this. But It's pretty pathetic. So I know you think you're doing something, but you're just showing me that you're obsessed with Scott, and that's weird. And you should probably seek some help. And you should go fuck your mom. Because she really wants to be fucked.
And our allies have been treated as if they're our adversaries.
Apparently.
Now, I agree with the experts.
He's obsessed with
that
Ann. I
put
don't get
this
it.
letter in.
Get over yourself.
There are grave risks right now for the United States national security posed
keep
by
coming in with alts and boosting the
dismantling
algorithm. I love it.
USAGM and the broadcasters it supports. Now, one of the things I want to do, maybe we can do this, and it's trying to save some time. I serve on the Financial Services Committee also, where we often engage with companies about the risk analysis that they perform before making major business decisions to outpace their competitors. And I know I hear my Republican colleagues often say that government should be run like a business. So I just want to try
radical
to
freedom
just get a
lover.
few yes or no questions in the time that we have. Just so that
He
I
does
know
it
we
to
can
wipe the-
either get some of the
Never mind.
information that the chairman said you are bringing or have brought with you. So my question to you is, did you conduct or review a written analysis before placing most of the USAGM's and VOA's employees on administrative leave on March 15th, before cutting off payments to USAGM grantees in March, or before announcing a reduction in force at the VOA last Friday? Yes or no?
I've been working in media for 30 years, and in every newsroom across this country in that time.
Yes or no? Did you do?
These are complex questions. They're not yes or no
It's
questions.
either you did a review or you didn't.
We are right-sizing an agency that has grown and grown and grown.
Did you do a review?
We've reviewed. Yes, we've reviewed.
You've done a review. Do you have a record of? Do you have a record of what you reviewed?
We have reviewed the number of employees, the number of languages, but most of all, what we reviewed was an executive order, March 14th, by the man who's in charge of the executive branch.
I want to know.
His name is Donald Trump.
Do you have a record that you can produce? The chairman said you have a bunch of things with you. Do you have a record of what you reviewed and who you reviewed to?
We reviewed the statute.
Do you have a record? Yes or no?
We have the statute, and
Do you have a record?
the statute. Yeah, we can pull that statute for
If you have it, not the
She
statute,
doesn't.
the
Not the
record
statute,
of
you fucking
individuals
idiot.
that you reviewed, interviewed, or talked to before you committed your actions of dismantling.
I talked to a lot of people at the agency.
Do you have a
where's
record
your
of that?
report?
You can go back and look at emails.
Do you have a record?
Do you want me to pull emails?
I want you to show the record of what you did, Ms. Lake.
Well, you can
Don't
take a
just
look
give
at
me
it.
something that's not verified. Show me the record, because that's what I hear oftentimes in the business. You have to have a record. Show me the record that you did what you did. That's all.
It's pretty obvious what we did.
Did you survey? Let me ask this question then. Did you survey employees that was there about waste, fraud, and abuse? Do you believe was occurring at the agency? Did you survey?
We
Since you
know
said
that there's waste, fraud, and abuse.
Did you survey the employees? Yes or no?
What?
Yes or no?
These are ridiculous
Did
questions.
you serve? Simple answers. You either did or you didn't.
Yeah, I guess survey means talk
Did
to
you
and
do it
ask
or not?
questions. Sure, we did.
You did? Then you can provide those surveys. You can show us a record of who you
We
talked
did
to.
not run an expensive survey. but I talked
you
to
didn't
many
actually
people at the
do the
same-
work.
You didn't
Okay.
so you didn't do that either. So this was based on a whim. Okay.
Ranking member time has expired. I want to thank you for your 5 minutes of questioning. I'm now going to recognize Representative Smith
Thank
for
you very
5
much.
minutes of questioning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to the committee.
But
Sorry,
to
we
really be
time traveled
successful,
again.
What's
Sorry.
going to be necessary is not just strong diplomacy, but changing the views of the people that live
No,
there.
and she's
Secretary
said that she didn't
Rubio and
actually
his nominee
complete
and
any
his,
reporting about it.
Senate
So
confirmation
this is not how you run
stressed
anything.
that there's probably
Maybe
no
it's how
greater
chuds run
discrepancy
things
between
because
the
they're
actions
stupid
of
and that's
one
why they're never
government and their
promoted.
people than Iran. And even before this action, before the war, 6.6 million Iranians, 10% of the adult population, got their news from FARDA, Radio Free Network that's there. And it's produced in an agency that you sought to terminate the contracts of at a time when it's needed more than ever. Cutting transmission feeds from the Middle East Broadcasting Network. It's resulted in 90%.
Yeah, I have a feeling we won't escape the outrage. Yes, I have a Bondy thing. We've got it all.
On Radio Free
We've got a lot
Europe,
this morning.
Radio Liberty,
Okay, we've got a lot.
Are furloughed. Programming's been reduced at a time when we need it the most. I'm concerned also not just with the cuts, but I'm concerned for the journalists that report this news. They're in great jeopardy. A lot of attention in your opening remarks went to vetting and the extreme efforts that you're doing for vetting. I want to know what you're doing to protect those journalists. One just recently released the other day, after 4 years of detainment by the Russians, talked about the way he was tortured and physically abused and psychologically abused. These are journalists that are there. These are people trying to bring the word of democracy to people that have not. What are you doing to support these journalists? What attention? I didn't notice it in your opening remarks. That should be first and foremost. What are you doing to protect these people?
I agree. I think the safety and security of journalists is very important. I was a journalist in my
no, you weren't.
past profession.
No, you weren't,
so it's critically important, and I don't think that they've done enough to protect them. I'm thankful that recently, in the last few days, one journalist who was being held was released thanks to President Trump. And, you know, I think you need to ask RFE, Radio Free Europe, what they're doing to protect their employees. I just got to the agency 3 months ago, and the question is,
I would like to know,
why are we hiring,
if I may, reclaiming my
why
time.
Are we
I'm
hiring
reclaiming
more
my time.
Americans?
I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman.
Because they're in Europe.
You know,
what?
It's sort of like blaming the group that's advocating for these people. What are they doing? I'll tell you what they're doing. They've simply asked for a meeting with you.
It's hard to meet with somebody when they're suing you.
I have a letter that I'd like to ask unanimous consent be put in the record from the President of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, the President of Radio Free Asia, the President of Middle East Broadcasting Networks, dated April 30th, simply asking for some kind of communications or meeting with you regarding these issues of detainment. I'd also like to put into the record an article. This is audience in Iran
saying about the storage
and
for
the Middle East storage
archives
as funding for fodder and
Hope someone asks about the archive material that she plans to basically delete by canceling the contracts
if you
for
look
the storage.
At what's happening, and you look what happened since the bombing occurred and since the war occurred, you just see dramatic increases in the listenership, just proving how vital this is to people that aren't getting other messages. Radio fodder traffic surged 344%. The Instagram account, 62.5 million increases, a rise of 77%. These are things that are necessary, and you are cutting the agreements. Thank goodness the courts are saying no to you. But why would you ever want to do this here? Why would you not? Why do you better say, I want to know what Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty is doing to protect the journalists, when the U.S. and you have a role in doing it, and you won't even take a meeting from the people that want to meet and discuss the dangers to these journalists. I hope that you will take that meeting, and we get a confirmation for you by the end of this hearing, that you will meet them soon and discuss this issue. People's lives are in danger trying to tell the truth. I yield back.
If they would drop their malicious lawsuit, I'd be happy to meet with them, but it would be really stupid to meet with someone who's suing you. And, you know, this is a gentleman who makes about $310,000, $320,000 off the backs of hardworking Americans and is suing our agency. We've given him all.
That's not true.
When we have a commander-in-chief making the money he's making. So I don't.
President Donald Trump donates his salary back.
Gentleman yields back.
Thank you.
The gentleman's time has expired. This is submitted
That little
for the record.
cunt speaking
I
up.
was glancing through it, and just FYI, I'm going to keep reading it, but I don't actually see a request for a meeting with Ms. Lake in the letter, as was referenced.
What?
I see bring to her attention, but no request for a meeting in this letter. But I'll let you know if that changes as I read through it. Representative Perry is now recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Lake, would you
care to answer the question further, the last question further? Do you want to expound on any of that?
Well, I think it is difficult to meet with people when they're suing you. It just isn't advised. And if any attorney would tell you, you can't sit down and meet with somebody who's launched malicious lawsuits against the agency, naming me in
the Chairman Emeritus, Mr. McCall, about the importance of having tools like the Open Technology Fund that can translate, use the internet, use Instagram, et cetera, to get out there and get our message to places like China, et cetera. I agree with Chairman Smith. I mean, we've got to speak to the Chinese people about what's happening to the Uyghur population. We've got to have those tools. So eliminating those tools wholesale make us weaker as a country. That is a problem. And in fact, our Secretary of State penned an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal back in 2018 talking about how important what Radio Free Asia does is in exposing China's campaign against its Muslim minorities, the Uyghurs. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter that op-ed into the record, if I might. So here's the challenge. The ranking member raised, I think, what is a very important issue. We can debate, whether this should say an independent agency come back into the State Department or not. But the wholesale way of dismantling this agency, I think the chairman asked a legitimate question: what was the strategy? What was there a methodical approach to looking at the agency? What was effective, what was not effective? What should we be doing, what should we not be doing? Ms. Lake, can you provide kind of that methodical approach in terms of how the administration, how you looked at what essentially is a dismantling of this agency?
Yeah, we actually got to work after the 14th of March, and we put people on administrative leave and assessed what the statutory minimum was.
Can you provide us documentation of that so we can do our job as oversight?
I mean, in meetings and in discussions, we talked about
the minutes of those meetings and the documentation. Of that.
It would be emails and things of the such.
That's all stuff that we can take a look at as a committee as we do oversight. Again, I'm not against modernizing the agency. I'm not against looking at things. The challenge Mr. Keating touched on, we're in the middle of what is a war in the Middle East. Hopefully this ceasefire holds. Hopefully the Iranian people rise up and demand a better future. I've reserved judgment on the president's actions. I do want the administration to come brief us on what they're thinking, how this is unfolding. But absolutely, right now, we need all of our tools to communicate to the Iranian people. We need to do that through the radio, through the internet, through Instagram. I'm not a big TikTok fan. I supported the TikTok ban. But if folks are getting information on TikTok, we've got to be using that as well. I am very concerned that the personnel have been laid off, that we're working with a shoestring staff that is making us weaker and less effective at a moment of vulnerability for the Iranian regime, where this could be a time where the Iranian people choose to take a different path forward. What I would like to do, and what I'd like a commitment to do, and I'd ask the chairman for this, is there was a time on this committee where we actually did do reforms. When I was a freshman member of Congress under Chairman Ed Royce, at that time ranking member Elliot Engel, we actually did do a bipartisan reform bill that I believe passed this committee unanimously and moved forward. That's our job. Ms. Lake, you should be working with us. We should not be dismantling an agency that we've seen over history has been super effective, whether it was in World War II, combating the Nazis in the Cold War, going against the repressive Russian or Soviet Union and the Communist Party. What I think the administration's doing and how they've approached this is making us weaker. And it is not a systematic way of thinking about how you reform and modernize things.
Kari Lake is a fucking fascist pig
so we can
bitch.
actually do our job in oversight. And I'd
Period.
love for you to work
That's all you need to know. Nice,
Mr.
Mr. Barrett. I love how sweet you talk to her.
Okay, in the 21st century,
She is a flying fucking cunt.
To combat the propaganda that our enemies are putting out there. We do need to hire the best folks. We do need to have all of that. Again, Ms. Lake, I'd love your commitment to work with this committee, work with Congress to enact those reforms and share the information and what you're thinking.
Absolutely. It would be wonderful to work with you and to effectuate the president's executive order to reduce this agency down in size so that it's lean, mean, and effective.
Stop it.
And I think it is effective. We were able to get
Has it been
information out
effective?
into and translated into Farsi as to what was happening. We were able to get President Trump's address translated live as it was happening. You don't need a massive staff.
Oh my
This is the
God.
only newsroom in the world that hasn't seen cutbacks because
Well,
we
why is
don't
that?
need to have
That's
massive
probably a
newsrooms.
good thing.
15,000
Right
people.
now, what I worry about, though, is we've let
Yeah,
go of all
OAN and
this
Voice of
staff,
America.
and it
Yeah,
isn't
yeah, yeah,
happening,
I
and it's
know.
only happening.
We
for
haven't let go
bits
of
and
all the
pieces.
staff.
Well, this is what
actually.
we voted in,
Gentleman's time has
people.
expired.
By the way, can I
So I
just
hope you're
mention
happy.
something? I want to show you the
I
newsroom.
hope you
one of the
wanted a
newsrooms over at
revolution.
VOA. I don't know if you can see this.
I hope you really fucking voted for
Empty.
this or
It's kind of a
didn't.
Where's Waldo. Can you spot the one person in there?
Not from here.
One person in the newsroom. And
Oh
I know
my
you're probably
God.
saying, yeah, thanks
Goodbye.
a lot, Carrie. No, this was actually back during the Biden administration.
Because I wanted to touch a little
Nope,
more in the government.
Nope,
that
not.
we can provide fact.
Foreigners,
The foreigners
working. I want to ask you one more question.
And they could be working, by the way, at
I
other
want to get
agencies.
to one more question
Oh my
before my time
God.
expired. Like you said, you were a big part of media
I hate
in your
everything
prior
and
roles.
everyone. I'm just going to
Did
run
you ever
away,
have a
you
TS
guys.
or
I'm not
SCI
doing
clearance,
this
or did you
anymore.
ever get to go
Goodbye.
into a skiff as a member of the media?
No.
Thank you. I now recognize Representative Shirflis McCormick.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Lake, for being here. I do have major concerns about the role that VOA plays, especially since as recently as a few months ago, there were over 427 million people who were actually being exposed to VOA, and VOA is usually one of the best places that we can provide fact-based and objective information to audiences, especially in China and Iran. Especially with the escalation that we're seeing in Iran and with lack of any kind of intelligence briefing, we want to get more information as far as what's actually going on in Iran and in the information we're providing them. But what I wanted to bring to your attention
somebody did, Jane.
is a letter
Somebody
that we
voted
have
for
here
this.
that I wanted to admit for the record. And it is from Radio Free Asia, Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Middle East Broadcasting Network. And what they're pretty much saying is that they tried several times to reach you.
Pass it on back.
Thank you.
I
I'm going to
think
read
I've
it.
already
The last
expressed
one
why I
didn't have
haven't
a
met with
request.
him, because we're in
I
active
just want to read it
litigation.
to you first, 'cause I want to give you the opportunity.
Okay.
I do believe that foreign affairs, especially when it comes to national security, shouldn't be a partisan issue. I do believe that, and I want to give you the opportunity.
Well, it
to
is
just
because
explain,
these people
because as
don't
one of my
have
colleagues
the
mentioned,
right.
There was a
Oh my
letter
God!
in
I
April
just
where
hate
they
the
said they
naive.
haven't
I
met
just
with you.
hate it.
And
I
in this
hate
letter, they're saying
all
that
of this
they've
niceness.
tried to meet with you, and that Ms. Lake has not spent a single minute with us or our senior team. She has not visited our office or inspected our operations. And so with this letter that we have here that clearly says it, I also want to bring to your attention where it says also that they're still open to meeting with you. And I know now you're saying you can't meet with them, but I want to get more clarification. Within the 2 weeks that you were in your position, that you declared that it was you said specifically that's largely incompetent, corrupt, biased, and a threat to America's national security. What were the procedures in place for you to make that determination? Specifically, how much staff was actually allocated to do that investigation to help you come to that conclusion?
Well, we've got reports. We've got years of biased reporting. We have misused funds.
So could you tell me about the step or the mechanisms that you used? How much staff was provided to look into it in those 2 weeks to get to that?
How much staff is what?
How much staff? Like, what was your mechanisms in actually going through to coming to this conclusion within 2 weeks?
Within 2 weeks, I assessed all of the grant agreements, and I realized that these grant agreements had been changed during the Biden administration to take out any form of transparency. During the first Trump administration, the grant agreements were written where we had transparency. We could see what was being spent.
they didn't
and during
change.
the Biden administration, they took
They
all
didn't
of that
change.
transparency
That's not
out.
true.
And then they signed a
How?
$250 million lease on a high-rise building.
You guys, I can't do this. All right, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to listen to her anymore. Are you afraid of Carrie because she's pretty? Did she just rage quit? No. I'll fight for your rights too. It's okay. You can go ahead and make fun of me. It's all right. I'll fight for your rights too. Let's see. What else is happening? There's that. Oh, I guess that didn't really happen. Nope, that's not. Nope, we already did that. And we are not going to do that. So I'm waiting for Which one was happening? I think there was something else happening. Let me go ahead and read this article that Gal dropped, because this will prepare us for the later on this morning. As we watch, yes, that's what I'm just totally jealous. That's what it is. Trump administration preparing to test budget law, U.S. officials say. Internal dissent among federal employees is coming to the surface as President Donald Trump, budget chief, aims to rebalance spending authority, which basically means that Russ Vought in the Office of Management and Budget wants to take on all the decision making, which he really in essence has, because Congress allocated certain money for fiscal year 25 and he's just withheld it. So there's that. I'm just going to leave the hater in the chat because they boost the algorithm. So that's good. I really appreciate that. Thanks. Thanks for spending time here. Yeah, no, she's a racist. She's a dirty racist. She's a dirty motherfucking cunt racist. That's right. There's Russ Vought right there. That's what I get. I get all the abuse. That's what I get. I get nobody in that group ever standing up for me. And I just get the fucking abuse. Fuck all y'all. All right. The Trump administration is preparing to test a 1974 budget law by refusing to spend congressionally mandated funds. Oops, that's what I just said. Senior officials say. An escalation that could change a balance of power between Congress and the White House. In both internal communications and interviews, more than 24 current and former employees across multiple agencies said the administration appears to be ready to push the boundaries of the law meant to prevent the president from unilaterally overturning spending decisions made by Congress. Get out of here. Key White House aides have long argued that the law is an unconstitutional limit on presidential power. Oh my God, get the fuck out of my way. And suggested they will seek court rulings to overturn it, which could allow the White House to determine which spending to carry out. The Nonpartisan Government Accountability Office has issued 2 rulings that funds have been illegally withheld already. I mean, do we not know this? What is this? What are we doing here? Oh, really? It's funny because you're the Nazi. The Nonpartisan Government Accountability. Why don't you come in on your real name since you're so brave? You know, you come in and throw this shit in my face. Why don't you come in on your real name? Or do you not have any balls? Because I don't even know which one you are. Okay, and congressional Democrats have said a far wider scope of funding freezes has broken the budget law. Oh, you don't see Dino Broadcasting Network? Did they hide themselves? Or are they on chat? They're on the screen. Do you not see them on the screen? They're on the screen. Although the White House denies any funds have been impounded so far, officials at a half dozen agencies expressed alarm to the Washington Post over how the disbursement of funds has slowed, stopped, or been delayed. Often, they say, with little clear justification. The scale of canceled or withheld funds remains opaque. Deadlines in the coming weeks will clarify how much the administration wants to test a new law enacted in 1974 after Richard Nixon's Watergate scandal. White House officials are planning to defer roughly 200 separate accounts across the federal government, according to 2 people familiar with the matter, who, like many others interviewed for this story, spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of retribution. Well, put on your big boy pants and get the fuck and speak up. Because we need you. We need you. Interviews with federal workers show that a wide spectrum of government spending has already been stalled. Major scientific research grants have already been terminated without public notice in recent weeks. At one federal agency, staff were told via a directive that took effect on a Sunday, that almost all contracts over $250,000 could be signed. At the General Services Administration, which manages federal real estate, the Trump administration is trying to cut costs by rejecting many agencies' requests for facilities repairs, paid for by those agencies. In some instances, officials say it's unclear whether the budget law has been violated already or is merely on track to be breached, but the rejections have provoked internal alarm about their legality either way. The administration still could disperse money for many stalled programs before the end of the fiscal year, which ends on September 30th. I keep blocking them. That's why it doesn't matter if I block them. They just keep coming in, which is fine. Again, they're just boosting the algorithm, so it's great. Rachel Colley, a spokeswoman for the Office of Management and Budget, said in a statement that while they have not happened thus far, impoundments remain an option at the president's disposal. Well, apparently not, bitch, Rachel. Who the fuck is Rachel Colley? I think it's time to start really pointing these people out. Though billionaire Elon Musk's doggy service drew significant attention for its speedy cuts. What? Washington Post? Russell Vought, Trump's budget director, is expected to be key in the coming fight over spending. Vought has spearheaded the administration's campaign to assert sweeping executive power over spending, arguing that the Impoundment Control Act, the law at issue now, is unconstitutional. The Trump administration has justified its cost-cutting measures by pointing out that the United States is $36 trillion in debt. Although the type of funding that officials have targeted represents a small fraction of the overall budget. We're seeing a multiple major violations of the budget law, said William Hoagland, who served as a GOP aide to the Senate Budget Committee and is now at the Washington-based Bipartisan Policy Center. I think this is on its way to becoming a really big issue. Really? You think? Bill, do you think that? I can't. I think this is, okay, yeah, this is going to blow up more than the administration can imagine. Really? Do you think they haven't thought that through, Bill? You think they haven't thought that one through? Health officials say funding has been vaporized. The frozen spending is most visible in the research community, where science and health funding has ground to a halt, with little public explanation or any exposure by media outlets. I added that part. In one example, U.S. Doggy Service has failed to post dozens of planned funding opportunities since it took control of a key federal grants website in April, according to two people familiar with the process. Agencies were previously able to post notices of funding opportunities directly to grants.gov, but Doggy now requires them to submit it through a centralized mailbox it controls. Can you fucking believe this? I just can't believe it. I can't. The new process has created a bottleneck for agencies such as the National Aeronautics and Space Administration that seek to award grants. Oh, really? But they seem to be able to award them to fucking Elmo. So what's the deal? The Department of Health and Human Services, for instance, is waiting for the federal government to post at least 30 planned funding opportunities that encompass tens of millions of dollars in congressionally appropriated funds for health and elder care initiatives, including $8 million for Holocaust survivor support and $6 million for Alzheimer's caregiver assistance, risking their expiration within the fiscal year. The backlog has alarmed career officials who warn it could amount to illegal impoundment of funds. What? I'm so tired of this. Major funding agencies, including the National Institutes of Health, oh boy, and the National Science Foundation, have been mired in dysfunction, and that has slowed the routine work of awarding new grants and sending billions in funding appropriated by Congress to researchers and projects across the country. You know, it's just so interesting to me that people can worry about my shit, but not worry about this shit. Because I think they have parents. I think they have, I don't know if they have an Alzheimer's patient in their family. It's not you didn't win a game. You didn't win like a fucking contest. We all lost. We all lost. Yeah, I'm upset. Ugh. In a federal lawsuit filed last month in Rhode Island, 20 states sued HHS, seeking an injunction to prevent the unconstitutional dismantling of this vital department. Why in the world should they have to file an injunction to... I just don't understand what world we're in right now. The states alleged that a reduction in force that laid off 10,000 employees in April was terminating the people necessary for it, HHS, to meet its own mandates and paralyzing it by means of a confusing reorganization. The suit called the job cuts an unlawful effort to undercut the will of Congress, who ordered the agencies and programs to run. Rep. McIver is being arraigned right now? Oh, okay. Since Trump's inauguration, the National Science Foundation has awarded about half as many grants as it did in the same period in 2024. The agency has terminated, according to a post-analysis of the NSF database, the agency has terminated about 1,700 grants in the last few weeks, and slowed new funding to a trickle, according to public records, internal data obtained by the Post, and an employee familiar with the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of retaliation. Well, I guess it's time to start bucking up, little campers. Maybe it's time that you take the risk and walk out of the building and walk to a microphone. Maybe that's what I need you to do en masse, because I can't do it for you. So far this year, the agency has only received $6.5 billion of the congressionally appropriated $9 billion that it is supposed to spend on research, according to the employee and the records. No money at all has gone into a facilities spending account that is supposed to contain $230 million for fiscal year 2025, the employee said, and the records show. Because of the halt in funding, new research in areas including environmental science and neuroscience is not getting underway, the employee said. The agency is also mostly not giving out awards this year, the employee said. The Office of Director will not release money into our accounts to do anything, the employee said. Essentially, money has been vaporized. At NIH, the agency will end the fiscal year on September 30th with unspent funds, unless it starts awarding new grants much faster, according to Jeremy Berg, a former director of the National Institute of General Medical Sciences, who has been closely tracking spending. Berg recently shared his analysis with the NIH director, Jay Bhattacharya, who should also be hung for treason, urging him to do your job. Make sure that these appropriated funds are committed through the approved processes by the end of the fiscal year in September. Bhattacharya replied, I will be hung for treason, thank you very much. And contrary to the assertion you make in the letter, my job is to make sure that the NIH spends the money that the American people have entrusted us with on projects that advance. We didn't elect you, Bhattacharya. We did not elect you. He said he was preventing funds from being spent on from being spent on ideological boondoggles. Who is this Nazi? Bhattacharya. Who the fuck is this Nazi? Who the fuck is this Dr. Mengele? Agency officials warn of illegal fund cancellations. At the Army Corps of Engineers, a different kind of freeze has emerged. In June, employees were told that, effective immediately, they could no longer award most non-commercial contracts above $250,000, thanks to an April executive order titled Ensuring Commercial Cost-Effective Solutions in Federal Contracts. The result, staff say, is halted surveys, delayed sediment analysis, and stalled construction. It feels like a temporary impoundment, one Corps employee said. Oh, really? Is that what it feels like? Is that what it feels like? In March, that same employee escalated concerns internally, asking whether repeated contract halts might count as an impoundment. I don't know. In a subsequent meeting, government attorneys told the employee that it was ultimately up to the courts to determine whether the situation constituted a violation, but that civil servants following guidance would not be liable. If uncomfortable, they advised the employee could ask to have the task reassigned. And what did the employee do? What did the employee do? We don't know. A spokesman for the Army Corps of Engineers said it was following guidance related to an executive order on procurement, that it is committed to continuing to deliver its mission for the American people in accordance with the administration's policies and priorities. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't actually mean anything. Meanwhile, the GSA is also refusing or interminably slow-walking requests from agencies to repair their facilities. 3 employees there said, only requests for work projects that directly service one of 3 goals: Trump's return to office plans, safety, emergency, or national security, are being allowed to go forward, the 3 people said. The restrictions have been in place for at least a few weeks, the employees said. New rules are being enforced by the Office of Management and Budget. Russ Vogt. One of the employees said, what the new OMB policy means in practice. Can we just say that the employee said all of this? Who writes this shit? Is that basic jobs are stalled with unclear legal justification. If an agency has funding in their budget to renovate an office because it's old or buy new furniture or something, OMB is telling GSA not to accept the money. The employee said, this is likely a violation of the law if those funds were appropriated by Congress. I mean, I don't even understand why we're still having this conversation. Nobody responded for comment. Ridiculous. For government officials who believe the administration is illegally withholding or canceling funds, the main recourse is to report violations to the nonpartisan GAO. The Government Accountability Office, an arm of Congress, has already opened more than 36 inquiries into potential White House violations of federal budget law. Well, where the fuck are they? Where the fuck are they? Where are you, GAO? What the fuck are you doing? But that avenue is also under threat. On Monday, House Republicans unveiled a new spending proposal for next year that would cut the GAO's budget and bar it from suing the federal government over canceled appropriations, effectively removing one of the few independent bodies capable of enforcing budget law if it's enacted. I hope you're happy. I hope your principles keep your freedom intact. The Trump administration has asked Congress for approval to cancel roughly $9 billion in spending, including funding for foreign aid and public broadcasting. The House has signed off, but if the request doesn't pass the Senate, officials have signaled they may use a novel legal tactic to let the funds expire at the end of the fiscal year. Still, scholars on both the right and the left say the administration could persuade the Supreme Court to side with it. Okay. Further expanding presidential authority over federal spending. I've spent a fair amount of time talking with government employees, and it's just utter chaos, said Richard Pierce, an administrative law professor at George Washington University. As for how the courts will rule, he added, I'm not willing to predict a result. I can see it going either way. To some experts, however, the stakes are clear. The administration appears to be preparing to run the clock out, said Hoagland of the Bipartisan Policy Center. To me, it's clearly a violation of Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. It's fundamental to the way the government is supposed to operate. But apparently that doesn't matter, sir. Didn't you get the memo? Didn't you get the fucking memo, you stupid fucking fuck? Okay, I am actually gonna come back because there's a Russ Vogt thing at 11, I think. Wait, let me see when it is. Because there's a few things happening later this morning that I kind of wanted to cover. Hold on. Where did I put it? I think I put it here. Oh, yeah. So there's a couple of hearings later on this morning that I'd like to come back for. And frankly, I feel like I've exhausted all of these hearings. One is a Ways and Means Committee with the Commissioner of Social Security, Frank Bisignano. Another one is the National Guard Partnership. And the other one is actually Russ Vogt testifying on his rescission request. So relevant to what we just read. So I think I'm going to go ahead and come back at 11 for a Twice Baked so that we can do some of these things and watch some of them. And then there we go. So I will be back in a couple of hours. Hope you can return. But I think we've done all the damage we can do today. Please share the broadcast. I really think it's important that people see this stuff, and we're still not making a lot of traction on audiences. So if every single person in this broadcast could share it out on the socials, could like it, that would be great. Because why not push up this content instead of all the fucking chud hate that exists that is not real and actually a distraction from where we should actually be in the street. 11 a.m. Oh, sorry, Neil. Yes, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll put up a little thing about it. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, thank you so much. For those of you who do share, thank you so much. It really is important. It really makes a huge difference. It sounds amazing. It sounds like it wouldn't make a difference, but it really makes a huge difference. And I really appreciate it. So